did some search. Philippines is next to Sulawesi an only island. In some way, it's not the only island because you have the smaller islands like Flores that are also islands. But of the bigger islands, the Philippines is north of Sulawesi and is a big island, and it has a lot of in common with Sulawesi. Jar burial. So again, they explain it as burials. I don't agree with that. So anyhow, full article about it. Luzon, part of the Philippines. This is the whole Philippines, and south is Sulawesi. To the west is Borneo. So, well, they explain this as burials, but anyhow, this seems to be for handling, and I don't think that a burial urn should be handled, should have a standard. It should be buried in the ground. This seems something for practical use. And then these are quite similar to the human figures. Similar, I'm not claiming anything right now. And then again, they explain this as burials, and they explain this as animals, but it also looks like a boat, a ship, like the Viking ships. And it's a symbol that is quite often used in ancient times, and it's birds on two sides, but it's also like a Viking ship. They claim it to be for burial, quite possible. They speak about zoomorphic lids. It's quite good seal. Google, plain of jars. I don't say Sulawesi, nor do I say Laos, but what appears is the plain of jars in this plateau in Laos, featuring thousands of large megalithic stone jars from the Iron Age. That's what they say, used for funerary practices, because consensus doesn't want to admit that they could be practicing quite advanced metallurgy on industrial scale, especially of modern metals used in battery production. So I go to images, and it's quite interesting. There are smaller ones and there are large ones, but anyhow, there are thousands. And it's not just in Laos. This is funny. This is not impossible that they created some pressure with the system. It seems the idea to seal off. And it seems to be produced to resist some pressure. So anyhow, it's quite enigmatic what you find. You see, there's many. And then, of course, there were humans. But this one doesn't seem to be buried in a jar. So I have my ideas about them being to bury people. You see, in scale, it's quite big. Turned over, very thick. So it is made to resist acids or pressure or both. And this is quite advanced, of course. And I wouldn't be surprised the plains of jars, Laos. So, but there's a plain of jars in Sulawesi too. Sulawesi. And Sulawesi is and was always historically an island, even in the Ice Ages. So this is plain of jars. Of course, it could be mixed, but it's Sulawesi, and this is a quite similar jars. This is probably, well, this one is Laos. So you have to watch out, but this is Sulawesi. Looks quite similar to the ones in Laos, which is on the mainland in the Ice Ages, and even today. Not sure how I can make that. Sulawesi. And this is quite interesting because this you can find across the currents all around the world. So eyes like circles or balls, and then the pronounced nose. And now we go just for fun. Oh yeah, this is something I wanted to show. You have these things, these reptiles like things on the lid of the jars that are similar to to Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe. You see here detailed lids of jars. Plane of jars, lids, lid. You see, quite some detail, quite advanced, heavy. I'm not sure that they belong together, but anyhow, if they would belong together, this would create quite some pressure here. This is the weight of it, and they possibly could even, fix it somehow. But this, for sure, creates quite some pressure. It's like a pressure pan to cook, to accelerate processes. Sulawesi, and now Laos, plain of jars, Laos, plain of jars. So I don't have the time here. It looks like a figure. And now, like human stone, human stone, human Sulawesi. Well, this is the reptiles that you find in Göbekli Tepe, and this is what I was looking for. So you see the size. I take the one without the figures. Rock paintings, so clearly humans. Here's the pig. It's probably the pig we are talking about, Sulawesi. For me, it's a very fat pig. It looks like a domesticated pig. That consensus, of course, doesn't admit that. I take this one because it says it tells us the value. So he is sitting right before the genitals he is holding, and this is a beard-like balls, pronounced nose, just like the Moai in East Island, which is on the same current, and in Peru and in Chile. In Peru, the Chachapoya. Well, if you see it in detail, I'll have to take this one. You clearly see that beard like Moai, but we're on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. That's half of the world. Holding his genitals, nipples sometimes V-color. Moai also have something on top of their heads. And sometimes the hands are stretching to the navel, not to the genitals. Over 400 ancient megaliths, some carved as human figures. Sulawesi, Bada Valley. Well, here they claim 5,000 years. 5,000 years is more or less when population turnover with R1b took place in Western Eurasia, Western Europe. I chose Laos again, and this is a stone. We find them in Portugal, but all across Europe. It's quite similar. In Europe, they don't show the hands, so here it's quite enigmatic. And again, this one is not in a jar, so I claim them to be for metallurgic processes. I'm not even asking for it, and I get the jars because they call it the crocodile stone. and that can be true, although crocodiles don't have arms, and maybe here is to fit a headrest, because I think that those cultures will lie down in certain events, during certain events. I wasn't even asking for it. But you have these in Europe, and they're exposed to the Atlantic currents, again coming from South America.